Joe Biden is our president. Obviously, a lot of progressives would have preferred Bernie, and looking forward to 2024, hey, maybe we get a progressive, but hey, maybe we don't need one, because according to a new op-ed, Joe Biden is Bernie Sanders. That's an interesting thought. Let's take a look at the evidence presented by Daniel Henninger. Subtitle of the piece says, Democrats thought a socialist couldn't win the presidency in 2020. Well, they've got one now for 2024. And this is the description of Biden's State of the Union that inspired this op-ed. Biden said he would ban resort fees, impose a cap on concert ticket fees, and ban fees for people wanting to sit together on planes. Then he said something about getting involved with whether a person could quit a job as a cashier at a burger joint to take the same job across the street. Even Karl Marx wouldn't have thought to propose so much flat earth socialism. Far from done, Mr. Biden moved on to home care, housing, pre-K, teachers' pay, student debt, mental health, and addressing the crime crisis with counselors, social workers, and psychologists. The economic populism proposals Mr. Biden outlined resemble Xi Jinping's national champion policies for China. And the speech's most publicized moment was the Republican catcalls when Mr. Biden said the party wants to cut payments for Social Security and Medicare. The White House reportedly is thrilled Mr. Biden goaded Republicans into denying any such intention, but consider the bottom line. Mr. Biden has taken even a conversation about reform of entitlement spending off the table. So, look, it is not that he didn't say some of those things. The interpretation, I think, is a little bit wild. He did say some of those things, and on some of those things, I think that Biden means it. But simply just taking a bullet point list of the things a president says, whether on the campaign trail or most importantly, perhaps, in the State of the Union address, where I don't know if everyone knows this, but you're not legally required to do the things you say you're gonna do in a State of the Union address. And it appears based on history that presidents know that. To assume that, thus he's the same as Bernie Sanders, he will prioritize the same as Bernie Sanders, he'll fight the same as Bernie Sanders. That seems to me to be going a little bit too far. Waz, what do you think?
Just another psychotic, deranged mouthpiece for capital. It reminds me of you have your hyper religious auntie who's like obsessed with Jesus and church, and your girlfriend shows up with an anklet and she calls her a harlot. This is exactly the lunacy we're talking about with these Wall Street Journal types. It's like anything to the left of General MacArthur. You're a sicko, tree-hugging, crazy, commie, pinko idiot. And like, there's just no nuance to anything, any of this analysis, like none of it. And then, they give the whole game away when literally the two most popular government programs in existence, Social Security, Medicare. The idea that Joe Biden would say, yeah, that's untouchable. And he wouldn't approach it. That's crazy. He wants to make Americans unhappy and sicker and poor. What the hell? That's crazy. It's just these people, like literally, they're psychotic.
Yeah, I would just add, nuance is a great word, lack of nuance, lack of intellectual sophistication, because if there was any intellectual sophistication, and I would have figured this kind of op-ed would come from the New York Post, not the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal used to have op-ed writers who would understand that there are different degrees of Democrats. But all too often now we see, whether it's the Sean Hannitys, the Wall Street Journals, everybody in the right thinks Democrats are monolithic, that because Democrats believe in protecting the environment, then we're all socialists and we're all crazy. And the fact that you have a major political party where so many people in that party have this sort of broad brush that they apply to everybody and think that, oh yeah, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are the same. That's ridiculous. And that's the difficulty that Democrats have. You're dealing with people who are not right-minded, not intellectually capable of drawing basic distinctions about anything.
100%, yeah. You could point out that, hey, if you were to look at all the different proposals that Biden mentioned at the State of the Union, that is in a variety of ways, perhaps a little bit more all-encompassing than progressives might have predicted in the lead up to 2020. And you might have a case there. Now, of course, we can still have a debate about whether any of it will actually happen or whatever, whether he really means it, we could have that case. But to immediately jump to, it's socialism. It's, well, if the government stops a company from being able to make your employment contingent on you not working at a different burger place if you leave, well then that's all Karl Marx would want. I don't know, that just goes way too far. I don't know Daniel Henninger, I don't know his politics. I don't know if this is supposed to be a thought experiment or whatever. I just thought it would be an interesting stimulus to conversation. But it just, again, like David was saying, there are gradations of Democrats, and personally, like trying to pitch a program, Social Security, let's start there, that's existed for decades and decades and decades and decades, that if you don't give in to the Republicans on, at the very least, raising the retirement age, then you're a little bit suspicious. You might be a little bit radical. I think that's crazy. I think that since Social Security began, America is way more powerful, way more rich. I think the American people have improved their productivity year after year after year after year for literally decades. I think that if you don't think the retirement age should be lowered, you the radical, personally. What have we been working towards as individuals and as a society for a better part of a century? Cranking out more and more and more, constantly getting paid less and less and less, the chance of owning a home going lower and lower and lower. That's crazy. The status quo is insane. But we're being told that if we don't allow them to continue to chip away, then we're Marxists by default. That is a crazy framing. And then I'm not even blaming Daniel Henninger for this. That's effectively what much of the conversation is about. Even trying to disarm our concerns by saying, oh, it's off the tables now because of Biden. It's not off the tables, it's not done until it's done. And when Kevin McCarthy's having meetings with Joe Biden that they both come out of saying were great meetings, that should send a chill down your spine if you're worried about being able to retire with dignity someday.
Well, and John, that gets right to the simpletons in terms of how Republicans view Social Security, right? They don't look at it as a program that has lifted tens of millions of people out of poverty. They don't look at it as a program that's efficient, that's helpful. They only can see it as a government program.
Yeah.
And God forbid we should have a government program that is actually helping people, that is actually working. So in their mind, without being able to look at any of the nuances, they're blinded by their own labels. Government program, it must be bad. We have to privatize it. We have to do something different with it. And again, that's how simplistic the GOP is on issue after issue.
Yeah. And the best part about this is why the credibility is just none. And I think people see right through this. You could pull this communist crap when the Democratic president is Barack Obama. So because he's black, he's vaguely radical. Never mind the amount of, never mind Larry Summers and Timothy Geithner's portion of his regime. Never mind the fact that he raised tens of millions of dollars from Wall Street for both of his campaigns. Never mind those truths, right? Like, it'd be hard to be more pro-capital, pro-Wall Street than Barack Obama, except Joe Biden, right? The guy, the freaking senator from Delaware who threw his whole body in front of bankruptcy reform. Delaware, the state, the tax haven state for banks. Like, that's where Joe Biden comes from. This guy is so pro-bank, pro-business, pro-capital. Like, it's absurd. It's just crazy. And so that's why these people lose all credibility. And I really don't think this stuff has effect on normal, sane people, because it's Joe Biden we're talking about here.
Let me really fast, I just want to touch base with you coming out of the State of the Union. What does your gut say is the odds that Joe Biden does run for re-election based on what you saw at that State of the Union?
I mean, I'd put it at 80%, 90%. He's definitely gonna run because, as we know, people don't just give away power. They don't just say, "Oh, I think I'm about done being the most powerful man in America. I'm done. I'll just let Kamala or some other Democratic Party lackey have the position." There's no chance. And guess what? He's the best candidate that they got. That's just the hard, cold truth of it. He's the best they got, and he knows it.
I'll agree. I think it's at least 80%. But here's the other thing about it is Joe Biden, I mean, look, he's dispelled this sort of myth that he's tired or that he's sleepy Joe, whatever the Republicans want to call him. He had a lot of energy, a lot of focus to be able to have that interaction with the hecklers at a State of the Union speech. The other thing is Joe Biden has figured out what could win, right? And that by lifting up the fringes of the Republican Party, by leveraging the extremists, he's able to paint the Republican Party as it is, as unappetizing to the American people. And usually when you're a president running for re-election, it's a referendum on you. But Joe Biden has figured out, no. He may pull the same strategy that Barack Obama did with Mitt Romney. Make it all about Mitt Romney and his elevators. Make it all about the Republican Party is dominated by the Freedom Caucus, by Marjorie Taylor Greene, by George Santos, by people who want to take away your Social Security. That is a winning strategy. He knows it, the Democrats know it, the polling shows it as well.
Here at TYT, we work to cut through all the establishment media's biases and bring you the news from a factual and progressive viewpoint. Now, allow me to introduce you to Ground News, a new tool that you can use to stay informed on what's really going on around the world. Ground News doesn't just bring you the information, it also provides you with an easy-to-use rating system that measures each article's political leanings, factuality, and gives you complete transparency on who owns the news that you're reading. Like today, I was on their site and I saw an article about some improvements in the ozone layer. And I was a little skeptical because good news about the climate is pretty rare these days. But with over 100 sources originating from an even spread of news organizations, I was confident that what I was reading was true. So score one for Earth. So get the whole picture and break through the corporate media agenda by subscribing to Ground News today.